I need a bang trim because this is just, I don't really know what's happening here. Greetings, loved ones, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to my Sextember series where we are talking about all things love, sex, and relationships all month long. Despite my last video, I have been pretty on theme for this month. I honestly forgot, and I'm sorry about that. I forgot that that last video, that haul, was supposed to go up this month because it was scheduled with a brand, and I had like a brain fart moment, so I had to have a little break in the content for that, and so thank you so much for allowing me that brand deal moment. But back to the real topics. We're going to be talking about all things insecurity in intimacy situations today. So all of the things that you're nervous about, all of the things that you guys sent in to me on Instagram, obviously I'm gonna keep this anonymous, but just all the stuff that's like, ooh, it makes me get shivers up my spine thinking about doing that, or oh, I'm scared about trying this, or is it normal that this happens? You know? So just for preface, a couple of things we're going to be discussing are labia anxiety. Like, does my vagina look weird? Peeing and squirting during sex, period sex, queefing, fear of judgment, and like how to communicate without hurting people's feelings. Also just in general when you're not confident about your body with the lights on. So you gotta turn the lights off and be like, okay, everything's fine now, he can't see me, or she can't see me, or they can't see me. All of the above, all of the pronouns. Anyways, let's get into this first topic of labia anxiety, because somebody, and a handful of people actually sent this in, and oh my fucking God, was this me? This was so me in like 7th grade, really until Finley. I mean, like until my 20s. But the reality of this is, my friends out there, my peeps with vaginas, they all look different. Okay, you're gonna have girls who have like very small lips who are like not there at all, and you're gonna have people with like really long ones, and you know, you can have like a little butterfly moment or just like a little, I don't know, like a croissant moment. I'm trying to think of really weird things to describe a vagina as, but it's a vagina. So honestly, it's just your anatomy. This is kind of shameful for me to admit, but when I was like, I don't know, 18 or something, I seriously was Googling plastic surgery for my vagina because I was just like, lips, don't want them. Oh, the things I share with the internet. But yeah, I really overcame that when I had a supportive partner, and absolutely no one ever, even before I had somebody who I was super comfortable with, all of the men I was with before him were never like, that's weird, or hey, what's wrong? You know, like none of that ever happened. It was all my own insecurity coming up to the surface. But you really just have to accept that your body looks the way that it does. You don't need to alter it or feel weird about it. It's just your frickin' vagine, okay? You gotta get used to it. You gotta love her. I would suggest to you to spend some alone time in the mirror. I was talking about this in my self-pleasure video, but just playing with yourself in the mirror, watching yourself and being like, yes, you are sexy. I love this. I love that. Keep it up, you know? You just gotta really spread that self-love to yourself so that when you get behind closed doors with someone, you're not like, hey, so there's this weird thing that I'm insecure about, but it's not actually weird, but I'm gonna make it weird. Do you know what I mean? Like, nobody ever notices your insecurities as much as you do, so do not fret. I've been in the same boat, and whenever I express that to Finley, he's like, "Mwah, it's perfect. Don't even worry about a thing. I love it." So just don't worry. It's all in your head. Moving on. Let's talk about peeing and squirting. Oh my God. If this doesn't get demonetized, then there is a God. Somebody sent me in a question along the lines of like, I think I peed the last time I had sex, but I'm not really sure. But I would probably say that what you're thinking was pee was squirt. And let me tell you, women will try to do what you just did, honey. So you should feel, woo, really happy about that. I've only ever done that one time, and it was with myself in a self-pleasure situation, and I was shocked. I was like, did my body just do that? Holy... And I was so proud. I literally sent a text to, no, I think I called him, and I was like, guess what? Because it's one of those things that like you see in media, you know, and you're like, can I do that? And I did. but I would say that it's not necessarily like going to happen all of the time. And if it does, then, you know, lay some towels down or like know that about yourself so your partners aren't like, what the heck? But generally, partners are very turned on by the aspect of female ejaculation, my friends. Getting a little crazy with the fluids. They love it. So yeah, I wouldn't feel weird if you are able to do that. I honestly am, you know, a little jealous if you're able to do it frequently. Not gonna lie. But as for like peeing during sex, I always pee before I have sex and after sex. So if you pee during it, I mean, I'm not one for that to be a turn on of mine. And maybe you're referring to that as an accident that occurred and it wasn't like a, hey, I'm gonna pee on you. What is this video? Anyways, put some towels down. I would say that's super normal to happen. Maybe, I don't know. I really just think it was probably not pee, but maybe it was. Anyways, pee aside, let's talk about the other P word, periods. When you're on your period and you want to have sex. I got so many questions about this. And to be honest with you, when I am on my period, I prefer the back door. Oh shit, I'm seriously entertaining myself so hard with these topics and I hope I'm not making you uncomfortable. I talked about this topic of the back door in an episode of my podcast. I went into full depth on, you know, just all things intimacy, and so I'll link that in the description. But yes, that is the tea on me. But I do have period sex. I mean, I have in the shower. I would say I recommend it mostly. I had one guy in my life who I was scheduled to have a little hookup with back in the day. And I let him know I was on my period, but I still wanted to get it in. And I was like, hey, we can just like do it in the shower, you know? And he was like, nope, no, I will not be doing that. And I was like, is it because you don't want to get wet in the shower or because you're like afraid of my period? And I actually never got an accurate answer on that. And I would say it's probably the latter, you know? A lot of men are like very afraid of blood from down there, which is so funny because it's like, you're already sticking something up there, all right? Just like get used to it, my dude. Because when I lost my virginity, I bled. So if you're in an intimate situation with somebody and there's a little bit of blood, like it's not my problem that you're being weird about it, okay? Because fluids occur, all right? So that's just what I have to say about that. If you are feeling weird about having period sex, I would really just say, just make it like a nice moment. Just be like, I'm taking the load off today. I am going to relieve my cramps and have this intimate moment with you. I had a friend who was like, I love period sex because it completely takes my mind off the cramps. And I was like, you go, girl. So I guess that's a plus. But yes, there is always other facets of things that you could play around with and not just always go for vaginal intercourse. But my dude, it is up to you. Just feel free to take the reins on that situation and just feel comfortable about period sex in general, because it shouldn't be as taboo as it is, all right? Because when I'm on my period, I am very horny. And Finley knows my cycle because, well, one, I wear my Thinx panties to bed every night, and so he can like feel them and be like, oh, she's still on her period. So that's a telltale sign. And two, he just knows when it's coming, because before my period, when I'm ovulating, I am ready to go, you know, like always into it. And so I think he always kind of knows that when I'm trying to jump his bones, my period is going to come within the next week after that. So I would just like say, be comfortable with your partner to, you know, have that side of you shown, because hey, as people with vaginas, we bleed. So yeah. Gotta get used to it at some point, boys. Get on the train. Okay, now we're going to talk about queefing. What a funny word. I think I learned that in like 7th grade from Urban Dictionary or something like that. But also because I had a friend who could do this on command. Like lay back and be like, and like suck her air out and then just do it. If you don't know what a queef is, it is a vagina toot. Oh, I don't even mean to be whispering. It's honestly hilarious. I think that farting in general is so funny. So for it to be happening there, it's just always funny to me. So, and I'm with a partner to where like if that occurs, I can laugh about it. But that totally is something that happens during sex. So this always just goes back to the main point of being with a partner that you feel comfortable with, that you can laugh with while you're having sex. If something occurs where like, you know, something slips out or something spews or like some kind of a toot happens, you just need to be like, well, that's life, LOL, and then just move on because you are there for an intimate situation, so intimate sounds might exit the premises. My vocabulary in this is hilarious, but to be honest with you, I would say really don't feel bad about this. Somebody sent in this question and was like, it happens to me like every single freaking time. And I would say that maybe some way to help with that is making sure you're very lubed up and ready to go, because I feel like when I do that, it's normally because I'm dry and then it'll be like, you know? So that's what I have to say on that. But I mean, everybody is different and that may occur more frequently for some people. I wouldn't know. The only time I was really exposed to anybody else doing that was always for fun, like to make people laugh at sleepovers and stuff like that. Oh, my friend was crazy. I love her, miss her so much. Okay, now we are going to talk about fear. Fear in sex. Fear of judgment is what we're gonna get into first. So, I mean, I really just have to go back to what I just said of not being afraid to be with your partner, like not being afraid to show them all of the fun or funny sides of you. So in regards to judgment, I don't think that I've ever been with a partner where I've been like, oh, he's gonna judge me after this. I really just don't think that you should be really worried about judgment when it comes to intimate situations, because that's not what you're going there for. You know, you're going there for satisfaction, for a little fun, for a little pleasure, for a little romance. So just keep that in mind and don't be like, oh, they're gonna think about how I ride and get like really upset about how I do it. And if they do say anything, be like, just give me tips, dude. Be productive. Don't sit here and judge me. I've never been with anybody who has the balls to say something to your face that's like, oh, it's weird that you did that, or judged me in any way. So I think that that's really an all in your head kind of a thing. Unless you've been with partners who have done that to you, then them, you know, well, not literally fuck them, don't go back to that person, but like screw them, oh, so mean. But if you're afraid of judgment, just let it go on the back burner, all right? And if you actually are like down for constructive criticism, you can have a conversation with your partner being like, did you like when I did X, Y, and Z? What would you like if I did differently next time? Your pump was a little fast, how was my ride? You know, like asking those types of questions. So it's really just, it's all on the table. You could really open it up for discussion, but don't be like afraid to just let loose, because then how are you gonna have fun? Oh, that's no fun. And that kind of flows into communication. So that was a question I got asked about a lot. Like, how do I tell my partner that he gives me head wrong? Or how do I tell my partner that I don't like when he does that weird thing to my ear? And it's like, healthy communication and just setting aside. I know it can be kind of nerve-wracking or whatever. Like, you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But if you are both in it for the mutual pleasure, then they should be open to criticism from you. They should be wondering how they could pleasure you better. I don't think that it's ever, like, you shouldn't feel ashamed for wanting to express how you would like to get to that place. So I hope that you just feel confident with any of your partners to express your needs, because girl, or boy, or my non-gender conforming baes, you deserve to feel good. And if they're doing it wrong, tell them that you would like something else, or show them. I think that a lot of people learn from like, hey, this is what I do. Take these two fingers, do a little action. People need the 411. They need the how-to tutorial. It just depends on how much you want to communicate and how much needs to be changed. Because sometimes, I mean, communication aside, like if somebody is excessively not meeting your needs, maybe they're just not the right partner for you. So it's really just like a balance of that, of like healthy communication. And then if they don't correct their errors, be like, hey, I'm gonna like err on the side of caution here and just go find somebody else who maybe it would be a little bit more fun with and who could actually like take what I'm saying into their heads. Sometimes it's not worth it to correct it because there's too much to correct. Okay, now speaking about fear, let's talk about fear of penetration or pain during penetration. It is so normal for this to happen to women, okay? So normal. I got a lot of questions from people basically just saying, it hurts me every time that I have vaginal intercourse. And so I don't do it anymore because it hurts me so bad. And I would suggest to you to go and listen to this podcast that I talked about in my first episode of the Sextember series. It's the Rewilding podcast, episode number 9, I think. It will be linked down below. But the woman who is on the podcast, Grace Hazel is her name. She is like a women's like womb expert kind of. She's like an expert with the vagine. And she was talking about her experience with this. So I think that because I don't necessarily always have this as like a repetitive thing that I suffer from, I think you should definitely go and listen to that podcast if you suffer from this type of pain, and just listen to what she says about it, because she talked a lot about like trauma as well down there and like holding that into that space, and then that kind of showing in ways of like it being painful when you have sex in that way. And I'm gonna do probably an entire video, because this is totally something that I went through as well, about like coming back to intimate situations after you had a traumatic experience. And I don't want to say that that was necessarily why you're having this issue. I'm just saying that could be an issue. But if it's not that, then I would say that maybe talk about it with your gynecologist. I don't necessarily know a lot of solutions other than offering you other, you know, facets to go about. Go for a little outer stimulation, ask somebody to pleasure you that way instead of always inner. I know that it can be or like feel limiting, so maybe just do your research on how to help that for yourself. But in the meantime, I would say that you can still get intimate with people and just express it in other ways. Okay, and then really quickly, I want to talk about butts, because I got a lot of questions about butt stuff. And yes, I am not ashamed to admit that I love butt stuff. I don't know why people are like really weird about it. And I think I told this full story on the podcast that I referred to earlier of mine, but just the fact that I went into it kind of just, okay, I'll try it out, you know, not being like, no, 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 it's gonna hurt or something. Because yes, it may hurt and you may need to like get a little work going on down there for a bit. Like your partner needs to do a little work for you down there, you know, just warming up the area, if you will, doing a little bit of this action, getting like a toy situation in there, lots of lube. Okay, speaking of lube and like dealing with butts in general, a lot of my gay friends, before I had this situation for the first time, suggested to me this brand Booty Ease. And I never actually got it, but like I've heard great things. So if you're looking into, you know, ushering something like that in, I would look into getting some Booty Ease. Also like keeping it clean down there. I noticed that when it's not clean, then it hurts more. And obviously not like doing it after you just had a full meal or something absurd where you don't know what's going to occur. I mean, it's a butt. Like, let's put 2 and 2 together here. Whatever comes out of butts may be seen sometimes, all right? Your partner has to be open to just that aspect of things. That it might get dirty, might get a little messy, okay? But I am down for just a little bit of laughing along and just kind of hoping for the best. But on a real note though, I mean, I have a bidet attachment for my toilet, if that gives you any instance of how real it gets. No, I'm just kidding. But I always use that before any of that kind of situation is going to occur. And sometimes I'll like excuse myself to make sure that I'm clean. And so just be mindful about that stuff. And yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say about that. Don't feel nervous about it, okay? Because if you would like to, I mean, if you're always like, no, 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 that will never occur to me, ever, not interested, then that's fine. I'm not like pressuring you to do so. But if you're curious about it, don't hold yourself off because you're so scared about it, all right? Because it's a fun time. Woo! Okay, moving on. Let's talk about the last topic in this, which is something that I want to say probably over 50% of you sent in. And that is, what if I'm not confident in my body? What if I'm not confident about my performance? What if I don't want him to see me with the lights on? All of these things, which all reflect back on your own self-love, my dudes. You really need to do the inner work, I was talking about this in my self-pleasure episode as well, just like how are you ever going to be seen by somebody in that way if you cannot see yourself and honor yourself in that way? So you need to set the scene. You need to have these healing experiences with yourself where you're spending time intimately with yourself and loving your body and expressing gratitude for different parts of your anatomy and stuff like that before you can go into a situation with somebody and feel like they should honor you too. So that is my main advice for people who are struggling with this. You know, body confidence is such a hard topic to discuss because obviously everybody's body is different and we all have different varying levels of like acceptance for ourselves. But I have a whole video on body confidence, which I'll link above. That was pretty recent from me. And I was just talking about like weight fluctuation. I have a whole podcast that I just did about this recently as well. So if you want to be like more educated on that topic or feel less alone with that topic of like not liking certain aspects of yourself, I mean, dude, we've all been through it, okay? Like if you have a body, I'm sure there's something X, Y, or Z about yourself that you have nitpicked. And bringing those things into the bedroom is not gonna help anybody, you know, for you to sit there and be like, oh, I don't want to be seen. It's like, okay, dude, yeah, maybe you don't want to be seen, but that person is there to honor you, or they're there to show you respect and pleasure and all of these things. And I'm not saying that that person is going to be annoyed by you doing that, but more so just like they'll start looking for it if you point it out. So like don't go into situations pointing out your flaws that you make up in your head, because what does that do but bring the vibe down, you know? I just want you all to feel like sexy kings and queens, okay? Spending time with yourself, loving on yourself, understanding that like body confidence and self-love is a journey. It's not just a destination and you get there and then you're like, population 1, woo, forever, I'm gonna be loving myself. Well, obviously forever I'm going to be loving myself, but not like in the way of I just have this aspect of myself and it's always gonna be like that. Like, no, dude, your weight is gonna fluctuate. Parts of your body are going to fluctuate and like droop or get wrinkly, or you're gonna get cellulite, or you're gonna get hair in certain places that you didn't expect. And like that is just part of being a human. And so bringing your human body into an intimate situation with another human body, you just gotta be like, dude, you look awesome. I love this. Yes. You know, like you cannot just be screaming out your limiting beliefs that you tell yourself out into the ether, because what is it gonna do? Multiply. That's right. Yep. But at the same time, I think I talked about this in my podcast on this, but just the fact that sometimes when I say out loud to my partner these things that I'm like insecure about, and then he is just like, what? And he's so in disbelief that I would be doubting that aspect of myself, it immediately takes away the amount of pressure I was putting on it, if that makes sense. Like it just immediately is like, oh, yeah, that's nothing I needed to worry about actually at all, because it's honestly comical that I would worry about that because he doesn't care. I shouldn't care. We in general should not care, okay? Bodies are bodies. I really think you need to let that go, okay? I know it might be hard, but yeah, just starting with your self-love, and then after that you just get the courage to be with somebody in an intimate situation and not shed light on all the things that you make up in your head, okay? I love you. I think you're beautiful, and you should have the courage to be with anybody you want. If they're treating you right, I'm here for it. And quick side note, this is getting to be a long video, but I just wanted to say that that goes for inexperienced people as well. You should not feel shameful and like live in fear of not being able to perform or do X, Y, and Z because you just never have. Like you need to maybe express, hey, this is my first time, so like show me the ropes a little bit, or like tell me where to lay, or like put my hands, or what you want. But I will probably be making a video about like beginners aspects of things, because I got a lot about just general like I'm a virgin, or I'm a late bloomer, or this and this, and I feel like I've talked about a lot in this of just like, whew, here's all my fears. So maybe in the next one I will just talk about like how to handle going into it at the beginning, or like what I wish I would have learned. I have a lot of videos about intimacy and sex in general on my channel, so I will link some of those on the screen or below. But aside from all of this, I hope that I did this video justice and helped you guys out a little bit and made you feel less alone, and I hope that you laughed along with me, because this was a funny video, my dudes. I really freaking hope that this video does not get demonetized, but that aspect of things being said, feel free to go and support me on Patreon. The link will will be in the description at the top, so you can go and do that. Even if you just pledge $1, it would really help me out, man. And you know, censorship on YouTube and stuff like that is getting to be a little bit more extreme than it was back in the day, so that's why I've kind of gone off into that aspect of things. So go and pledge what you can. I love you so much, and thank you if you do. And thank you so much for watching this in general. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Ring the notifications bell if you would like to be notified when I upload. And until the next upload, stay smiling. Bye guys.